Stibble's Codex of Companions. Didn't expect that, did you? It launched last year. But it's a fantastic work of art, full of fantastical works of art, with dozens and dozens of monsters, all with beautiful illustrations, magic items including a legendary frisbee and some monster orbs, and a bunch of new rules regarding pets. The book is a great addition to any 5e table. In the words of my best and most famous friend Jacob from the titular channel XP to Level 3, my guy, Stibbles is A++, which isn't S tier, but that's still good. Click the link below and check out all these awesome plushies. We have this card deck with all the monsters in it, and enjoy this video brought to you by a weird looking gnome. Welcome to Basically Gnomes, the most chaotic neutral player race in all of D&D, so naturally they're the most fun to play. You can play humans because you want to, dwarves because you're a greedy dick, elves if you're a selfish prick, halflings because you don't like seeing your friends fight, or a gnome because you gave your last fuck 3 years ago and you're just here for a good time. These tiny, scrawny bundles of life do whatever they want 24/7. The difference between them and halflings is pretty simple. Halflings are all born as retired grandparents who like watching sunsets and drinking wine in a field, regaling tales of how lovely the birds' songs were today. And gnomes are born as eternally 8-year-old goblin people who run around inventing machines that give people wedgies. I wouldn't doubt that a gnome would smoke crack out of a glass slipper in a heartbeat, both living their dreams, just very different dreams. Honestly, the more I read about gnomes, the more excited I get. It feels like reading the bio of a perfect friend. So let's run through some interesting details. Gnomes can live almost 500 years before tripping into the bucket, but they don't care about time at all. Each gnome lives right now, today. They don't acknowledge the past enough to get stuck in it, and their future is made more of their own ideas than the amount of time it actually takes to accomplish them. Gnomes passionately care about everything, but they don't fight battles they don't have to, ever. They're also great listeners, sort of like info caches that are packed so dense with what they hear that they struggle to find the right words when talking. I don't care how impatient you are when talking to people, but in my opinion, people who trip over their words are usually the most honest kind of people. They think too quickly to prepare and recite lies correctly, and there's too much going on in their heads to remember specific details. And to me, that's the shape of a friend. Another fun detail to play with when creating gnomes is that their entire personality is readable just by looking at them. If they like gems, they wear gems. If they like fancy clothes, they wear fancy clothes. If they don't care about their looks, their beard might be a little dirty and have some bacon flakes in it. But it's okay, he just likes that food, he's saving it for later. Before I jump into cultures and sub-races, let me read this oddly placed excerpt from the book that says all you need to know about them. Always appreciative. It's rare for a gnome to be hostile or malicious unless he or she has suffered a grievous injury. Gnomes know that most races don't share their sense of humor, but they enjoy anyone's company just as they enjoy everything else they set out to do. That's a chef's kiss right there. That being said, their greatest trait can quickly become their worst. Enthusiasm should wear down, but it doesn't for gnomes. Their excitement for constantly being alive gets incredibly annoying, to the point where your party forgets that you're role-playing and insults you directly for having too much fun playing a guy in a red hat. I'm fine. On to culture. The burrow is a staple gnome home, and here's a little history tidbit regarding that. Gnomes and dwarves were once the same thing, considered chthonic or earth-dwelling spirits. The word gnome was created in Renaissance Latin, which is fake Latin, and could have been derived from words like geode or geonome. Makes sense considering that the original concept of gnomes could do exactly what Jesus never could, and swim through land like that crazy dude in Golden Wind. But 5th edition gnomes just dig really well and live in hidden burrows, and most gnomes who live within their own culture rarely talk to other humanoids. Which leads me to the 3 different types of gnome. The kind that fucked with Rip Van Winkle, the kind that helps you get up mountains with crazy contraptions and chill with luck dragons, and the kind that I described in Basically Underdark. The first are called forest gnome, little weirdos that run around the forest chilling with forest elves and squirrels, hiding in tree trunks and mass-producing dry-ass cookies. Their homes are sort of like quaint houses mixed with rabbit burrows. I guess that's what the Shire is, but imagine those houses inside like a thick forest instead, and bam, that's gnomes. Then we have rock gnomes, who probably live either in the Underdark or in more urban areas as opposed to forest holes. This is a good time to note that most gnomes who live in more standard societies work as craftsmen and engineers, profound wise people, or specialist artists like gem cutters and leather workers. and rock gnomes are the best at just about all of that, specifically tinkering. They can make just about any tiny device they set their minds to, but because D&D works based on what you're told you can do, we have 3 toys in the core book. A literal toy that can march around and make noises, a fire starter, which is a shitty cantrip, and a music box that can't play voices. Talk to your DM, and come up with some unique trinkets that aren't mechanically broken, but aren't dog shit, because gnomes deserve it. And lastly, we have deep gnomes, or this word that sounds like the start of someone having a stroke.
Sverfneblin.
Just like all gnomes, but to a stronger extent, these deep dwellers love gemstones. And dirt in general. They vibe so hard with the soil that earth elementals just kinda show up to hang out. They kinda work almost identically to kobolds. They just spend all their time mining away for a fancy penny and always have a fallback plan when something goes bad. Unrelated filler content just because it's funny, Stibbles may or may not have been influenced by the Travelocity gnome. Also completely unrelated, while watching the commercial for the first Gnomeo and Juliet movie, I heard the voiceover guy say that it would have Shakespeare rolling in his grave. And that made me want to jump into a grave and lay very still until I forgot that that movie existed. And that's basically gnomes. They're my favorite and I strive to be a gnome every day. So too bad that my legs are 20 feet long. Thanks for watching.